Sound and Fury, the Chronicles of Healing, is a story of hope and resilience nestled into a piece of motivational literature to share a backstory of instant disability. Written by Saul Kgomotso Molobi, the book takes us through how his life almost changed instantly when he was fully paralyzed for 7 months and had to spend a year in hospital battling to recover back to good health. Well, Saul is joining us on Skype to share more on this difficult, life-changing journey he narrates with careful wit, poetry and humor. Saul, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, and also good morning to all the viewers in live.
Well, the book, Saul, has an interesting title, Sound and Fury. Talk us through that and why you decided to share your story in such a way.
The first part, Sound and Fury, is Syrian. It comes from Macbeth, where they describe life as a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. And basically here I was saying that anything can happen to you. Every second of your life, you should see it as a blessing because it can suddenly be taken away from you. The second part where I talk about the Chronicles of Healing. Basically, I was in hospital and every day I was writing about my experiences towards recovery. And I used the word healing, and I was conscious of the fact that it made create the impression of healing as in going to traditional healers. And that's why on the cover, I then juxtapose that with an artwork made by a young artist here in Johannesburg of capsules to say that here I'm talking healing in the context of medical science, but not that I don't necessarily subscribe to the issue of indigenous knowledge systems of Africa. I do believe in that. So basically, this is the story of my life, how I experienced it in hospitals as a fully paralyzed person.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the moment that sort of changed the trajectory of your life when you discovered that you are fully paralyzed, and the moments where you spent about a year in a rehab hospital battling to recover back to health.
Yeah, it just happened so suddenly. We were at the shopping mall walking to the car park. I suddenly collapsed. After about 4 or 5 minutes of blackout, I regained my consciousness and I found some guys helping me up. And we then went home and I recovered my consciousness and all my energy. I was fine until 11 p.m. when I went into the bathroom trying to brush my teeth. Then my right hand just froze. And then I said, okay, we'll see in the morning what is happening. Indeed, in the morning, I was fully paralyzed from the neck down. The only mobility on my body was on my eyes because I could see, and also my mouth because I could speak. But my respiratory system was also very weak. That was when I went to hospital. And I would say that I fully regained my consciousness in hospital a week later, and I was told I've been in hospital for a week. And perhaps I must also say I went to a public facility, health facility, to Biko Hospital. And up until today, I could say that indeed the country is trying to reclaim the public health system that used to be the envy of the world, because the first heart transplant was done right here in the country. So today I encourage people to use the public health facilities because I'm talking from my own experience.
Well, Mr. Molobi, you seem to have dealt with this with so much bravery. Where do you draw the strength from during that difficult time?
I drew inspiration from people who live with disabilities who have done it in life. Besides the famous musicians, your Babsi Mlange and Steve Kekana or Stevie Wonder, I also drew inspiration from public servants who are doing extremely well, even though they live with disabilities. One of them is a DDG at the Department of DERCO, Mr. Ambassador Mkolisi Nkosi. And I think he's the most intelligent public servant, even though he's on disability. But from there, I also looked at the movie, Boys and the Hood.
Just before I let you go, we want to know where we can get a copy of this book. And you say that this book is not only for people who are with a disability or living with a disability, but for all people who are facing adversity.
Indeed. In fact, we all face difficulties every day of our lives. And I'm saying this is an inspirational book to those who are facing the odds and they need to adopt tactics to survive those. And in my case, I also use the element of humor, where I laughed at myself so that ultimately I could accept the fact that I was facing this pandemic, and indeed I'm going to overcome it. And this is how I did. So the most important thing is accept that you are facing these difficulties. And once you accept that, then you are able to deal with all the issues that you could be confronted with. So it is an inspirational book to all.
And you are really an inspiration, Mr. Molobi. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Well, that's our guest author, Saul Kgomotso Molobi. He joined us on Skype to speak about his inspirational book titled Sound and Fury, The Chronicles of Healing, that he openly shares the story behind his disability.